main event is an intriguing matchup between two heavyweights with a devastating arsenal of punches. First, the Thomas left jab, as potent as any in boxing.
Pick it up. Get looser with that jab. Get looser with that jab.
It was the one punch that carried him through Tim Witherspoon for the WBC title.
I'll be using my left jab. I won't leave it in the dressing room. It'll be with me. I'll be setting everything else up off of it.
I don't expect no weight. I'm going to sit back and just say, let Pinklon Thomas pick me on with a jab. No way. I'm going to, like, overlook the jab, overlook everything, and go in and do my thing.
The Mike Weaver trademark is plain and simply power. It comes in the form of a crushing left hook. And when you add to that the punishing right hand, it's no wonder that Weaver is considered one of the most powerful punchers in boxing today. Weaver must try to avoid his typical slow start.
And that is to make Pinklon Thomas fight a fast pace, and I'm going to be out throwing hard punches to the head and to the body, mainly working the body over.
I got good reflexes and good timing, and a jab will always be the right hand. A jab will always be the left hook.
It may end up being a matchup between the speed of Pinklon Thomas and the pressure applied by Mike Weaver. The WBC champion is a gifted athlete with great foot and hand speed. He'll need it all to counteract the tremendous pressure that Mike Weaver plans to generate from the opening bell.
I won't be running around the ring from him, that's for sure. I think that will make him brave and come that much harder.
My fight plan is like to go out there and pressure him, fight him, get inside.
I'm going to stick and stay and make it pay, that's all. I'm going to be there.
There's no dislike. It's just a business. He has something I want, and he has something I want to keep, so we both going to fight real hard for it.
He do have a body of a Hercules, but Hercules is a myth. And Pinklon Thomas is the real thing.
And now, live from the Riviera Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. The main event, WBC heavyweight champion Pinklon Thomas takes on #1 contender Mike Weaver. Well, the sun starts to set outside. All the excitement started to build inside this arena. The WBC heavyweight title's on the line. All the strategic questions soon to be answered inside the 20-foot square to our right. And I'm Barry Tompkins with Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Merchant. Let's talk about another battle that Pinklon Thomas is fighting. It's one very near and dear to you. He had a detached retina, and he had it operated on. He says it's not bothering him, and he's not thinking about it, but I think you probably know different than that.
Well, quite naturally. Anyone that suffers, especially a boxer that suffers a detached retina, is quite traumatic. But thanks to medical technology, whereas that now they insert the silicone buckle, which makes the retina just as strong as ever. So there shouldn't be no psychological problem.
All right, so it's Pinklon Thomas defending for the first time against the guy who's been there. Right now, let's go over to Larry Merchant for his views on this very important heavyweight fight. Larry?
Pinklon Thomas's eye focuses attention on an old dilemma in boxing, that fine line between an acceptable risk and an unacceptable risk. About 15 years ago, another fighter out of Philadelphia, a sensational welterweight named Gypsy Joe Harris, was barred from the ring because it was discovered that he was blind in one eye. That was an unacceptable risk and a good decision. Now, the doctors say that it's all right for Pinklon Thomas to keep fighting despite the injury to his eye because it has been healed and because it will be monitored fight to fight. Another reasonable decision. There's another kind of risk that Pinklon Thomas has to take tonight, getting out from behind that thunderous jab of his, which he tends to hide behind sometimes like troops behind a big tank. If there's one thing the public won't accept, it's a heavyweight champion who wears pink trunks and dominates his opponents with a jab. But along with risks come rewards in boxing. The trouble is sometimes those rewards are not as big as they seem. Boxing, it's like no other sport in the world. It's high rollers, big-time celebrities, and the lights of Las Vegas. Overnight, a man can be thrust into an environment that he could hardly dream of. But where do these dreams come from? They come from the ghetto. It's like no other place in the world.
It's hustlers and burned-out buildings, shattered dreams. For most, it's a life of survival. But for a few, it's a motivating force to escape. Pinklon Thomas is lucky to have survived it all. By the age of 12, Thomas was on the streets of Pontiac, Michigan, shooting heroin. Miraculously, 10 months ago, he was named heavyweight champion, earning $100,000 in his largest payday ever. Today, he lives in a Philadelphia suburb with his wife, Kathy, and son, Pinklon Jr. Mike Weaver may not have grown up in the ghetto, but compared to how he lives today, he's certainly come a long way since the Marine Corps when he first started to box. The change began with a 15th-round knockout of then WBA heavyweight champion John Tate. Thus far, Mike has earned some $6 million through boxing, which has allowed him to live a lifestyle that's quite good and quite different from yesterday.
Well, when I won the title in '80, it seemed like everything changed immediately. You know, I was invited to the big-time parties and where all the celebrities was at, and I got to meet everybody, and it was like a new side of me.
The fighter is uniquely protected. They deal with such a small community that their experiences are even more narrow than some of the other professional athletes. So perhaps they're even less prepared emotionally or experientially to deal with the grouping of people that hang on or the sudden fame and money.
But what is the money? Is there a misconception amongst the public and of the boxer as to how wealthy these newfound millionaires really are? How is the purse divided up? Here's a generally accepted formula. If a fighter receives a $100,000 purse, a 10% fee off the top is paid to the trainer. Even though the boxer receives training expenses in addition to his purse, there can be other fight-related expenses, such as $7,500 deducted in this example. Of the remaining $82,500, the manager receives 1/3 and the fighter 2/3, leaving the boxer with $55,000 before taxes.
When you can say you make $100,000, you don't walk away with $100,000. You know, people have a tendency to think that, you know, you walk away with the whole thing. Of course, you know, Uncle Sam is your partner then.
Boxing's now more than sport. It's a livelihood. Fighters once worried about which street corner to hang out on. Now the dilemma, what to do with the money.
So here's a guy who never had made any money in his life, and then he had some money. It was like, you know, a dream come true and prayers answered.
To be comfortable is what I was looking for.
And I bought myself a home.
I like Cadillacs. I bought me a Cadillac.
I had bought myself maybe 2 or 3 cars.
I purchased a home.
I found myself saying, wait, I'm spending more, you know, I'm just throwing money away, spending money unnecessarily.
This kind of problem is very common when money rolls in at such a fast and furious pace.
There are many brilliant businessmen. Ted Turner, Jack Kent Cooke, Donald Trump. They handle their millions with genius. They can't fight very well. Great fighters, who generally come out of poverty, don't understand how to handle money.
For some past champions, it was possible. When Gene Tunney retired from boxing in the Roaring '20s, he had earned over $2 million. In the next 50 years, through corporate chairmanships and marriage to a wealthy socialite, Tunney accumulated $4 million more. While Max Schmeling is best remembered for his 2 fights with Joe Louis, he also amassed a fortune through ownership of a Coca-Cola bottling plant and numerous farm and fur breeding investments. Rocky Marciano was so concerned that he stashed millions in places his family is yet to uncover. But unfortunately, these fighters have been in the minority. By 1951, Joe Louis owed the U.S. government $1 million in back taxes. Sugar Ray Robinson lost hundreds of thousands of dollars through faulty business ventures and corrupt managers. After a brief tap dancing career, he was forced back into the ring. Not even the greatest was spared financial embarrassment. During his political exile, this kind of Broadway appearance was necessary to pay the bills. His financial status today is unknown. And now, in the 80s, Roberto Duran is rumored to be bankrupt after earning $7 million in his last 2 fights. While Alexis Arguello is reportedly $600,000 in debt after he earned $5 million in his last 2 years of boxing.
Money, the money that these people make today is unbelievable. And many of them don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to do.
My own personal experience being a manager is that no matter how good the advice might be, no matter how many accountants that I attempt to get for my fighters, no matter how many trust funds that Bill Caton and I set up, nothing seems to work. The fighters generally, they end up with no money.
What he thinks is, hey, I got tomorrow, I'm gonna knock out another guy. So I'll go in and use this, you know what I mean? And if he puts it in a trust, he will penetrate the trust. He'll find some reason to open that trust up, you know what I mean, to take that money back with the idea in his mind that he will put it back on his next fight. And he continues to do this year after year after year, and then the evening begins to come in his career, and he don't realize that he don't have that many more fights left, and he finds himself in the same predicament that everyone else finds himself in. He'd be broke.
Mike Weaver could have easily ended up in that very same predicament, but given 4 title shots, he's been fortunate enough to learn from his mistakes.
My financial status today is good, you know, but I did lose a lot of money. I would have had a lot more if I wouldn't have lost so much, but it's still good.
As for Pinklon Thomas, it's rumored that he is in financial straits. Managerial problems continue to plague him. Much of his money is tied up in court battles and pending lawsuits.
We talk about figures, you know, you talk about big figures, but securing figures, they're not there, you know. That's what possesses me to maintain the hunger to want to have what I feel I deserve.
For Mike Weaver and Pinklon Thomas, boxing has been more than learning how to protect oneself in the ring. It's been learning how to protect oneself for the future upon leaving the ring.
And now I'm just basically learning about real estate. That's why I want to go into boxing. After boxing is to buy property and real estate. That's my next interest. That's what I'm learning about now.
I'm into reading a lot about creating your own wealth and investing.
As long as there is a sport of boxing generating millions of dollars, some will gain, others will lose. What the future holds for Pinklon Thomas and Mike Weaver is uncertain at best. The question is whether they'll make millions like Max Schmeling or lose it all like Joe Louis. Time will write the last chapter. Well, will this be the last chapter for this man? Mike Weaver is already in the ring. He's a guy who's been around the track numerous times. He's been in there against champions numerous times. Here's the record of Mike Weaver. And Ray, I think it's fair to say it's a little bit of a deceptive record because a lot of his losses came before he ever got anywhere near a championship fight.
Well, that's true because quite naturally, this Mike Weaver is a true competitor.
Well, he's had 2 different careers. 6 years ago when he fought Larry Holmes, he had 8 defeats. Fought a sensational fight against Holmes. He's only lost 1 fight in the last 6 years, and that was that controversial 1-round stoppage against Michael Dokes.
Which I might say was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Here's the champion, Pinklon Thomas, making his way toward the ring now. He looks all business, but somewhere in the back of his head, an awful lot of things going on. Thomas, of course, the great jab. Still some question as to whether or not he's got a right hand. Well, to Pinklon Thomas, this fight does have an added significance. He's fighting a tough opponent, but he's also fighting the fighter's greatest fear, injury. Pinklon Thomas has not wanted to talk about the injury to his right eye, but we asked him if the detached retina would affect him mentally tonight.
I ain't going in with no mental blocks, nothing sitting in my way to where I'm gonna crave or be all uptight about an injury. As far as I'm concerned, it's history. My whole life has been a gamble, you know, and it's a continuation.
So Pinklon Thomas is in the ring now, bedecked in, of course, what else? Pink. A little bit darker shade of pink than he had the last time. Here's his record. Can't get much better than that. 25 victories, he hasn't lost. He has the 1 draw with Padilla. 20 knockouts. But there's still, even despite the fact that he has had 20 knockouts, Ray, there's some question as to whether or not he can really punch. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape now, and there are a couple of interesting numbers here. The most significant number that we'll see in the tail of the tape is the weight of Mike Weaver, 221 1/4, and in his last fight he was 209 1/2.
And he says he was 238 three weeks ago. He says that when he fights as low as 209, he feels weak. He fought Larry Holmes 6 years ago at 201. I'm not sure what any of it means.
And, of course, another big number, 33 years old is Weaver, Thomas 27. There are the common opponents. Thomas, the only draw, only thing to mar an otherwise perfect record with Jerry Coetzee. Weaver knocked him out. And Quick Tillis, both men emerged victorious. Thomas knocked him out. Let's take a look now at some of the numbers.
Here's punched at our computer toy, Pinklon Thomas against Coetzee. Threw only 12 jabs around, landed 8. And against Witherspoon, he threw almost 4 times that many. He was concerned about Coetzee's right hand. That's why he didn't throw that many jabs. And, of course, the number of punches per round in those 2 fights also reflected in his concern about Coetzee. And so you wonder how concerned he is about Weaver, who is acknowledged as the heavier puncher. And here is Weaver in his 2 fights against Coetzee and in his 15-rounder against Dokes. Landed about half of his punches in both of those fights, threw more against Dokes.
Well, the rules for this fight, as they were in the fight you just saw, 10-point must system, 3 judges score the fight, not the referee. You can't have a standing gate count. You can be saved by the bell only in the final round. The ring doctor, as we mentioned, can stop the fight. Right now, let's go up to the ring announcer. Chuck Hull will get the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials assigned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for the next contest of the evening. The judges are Herb Santos, Dave Moretti, and Dick Cole. The timekeeper is Al Bisick. Counting at the knockdowns, Jane Broadfoot. The attending physicians at ringside, Doctors Donald Romeo and Flip Pomansky. And your referee is Carlos Padilla. Representing the WBC at ringside, Mr. Dwayne Ford and Mr. Bob Bussey. Representing the Nevada State Athletic Commission at ringside, Mr. Sig Rogich, Mr. Art Lurie, and Mr. Freddie Little. This is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Introducing, in the blue corner, the challenger from Diamond Bar, California, weighing 221 1/4 pounds, with a professional record of 27 wins, 10 defeats, 1 draw, with 18 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Hercules Weaver. And in the red corner, fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, weighing 220 1/4 pounds. He is undefeated in his professional career with 25 wins, no defeats, 1 draw, with 20 KOs. The WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Pinklon Pinky Thomas.
Thomas is a 2-to-1 favorite in this fight, but I have found a surprising amount of support for Weaver among observers whose opinion I respect. They just feel that Weaver is the much stronger puncher, that he's going to hurt Thomas to the body perhaps, and maybe throw a punch over one of his jabs.
Carlos Padilla, the referee, and the instructions.
Okay. Thomas Weaver, you're going to box for 12 rounds. You know the rules of boxing. Avoid using any kinds of foul. Don't throw any punches during the break. Is that clear? Seconds, come out fighting.
So what's left then is to decide this issue once and for all. Hercules is Mike Weaver's nickname. You look at Pinklon Thomas, and he is sartorial splendor. I don't guess you buy those pink shoes off the shelf, huh, Ray?
Well, I think everyone is Weaver has been a notoriously slow starter in the past.
Round 1. Let's see what Thomas brings to the dance and what Weaver does early.
Well, as I was stating earlier, people want to see whether or not Pinklon Thomas is going to stick to his game plan of trying to fight Weaver inside, which has a chance of being a big mistake because of the power of Mike Weaver.
Weaver has a tendency once in a while to be a little bit lazy, doesn't really get himself in gear, so he has to know that this is just about his last hurrah.
The jab, the left jab of Pinklon Thomas is the most effective left jab I've seen outside of Larry Holmes.
They say the best perhaps in boxing since Sonny Liston.
Now look at the left jab of Mike Weaver. The left jab of Mike Weaver's already busted the mouth of Pinklon Thomas up already.
Blood coming from the mouth of Pinklon Thomas, the champion, early on here. Start to choke on that, it could be a problem. Could also possibly indicate a jaw injury of some sort. It is a solid jab put out there by Pinklon Thomas.
And you can see the damage it's doing. It's a little abrasion over the left eye of Mike Weaver.
Very early on here. So there's blood from the mouth of Pinklon Thomas and a little abrasion along the eye of Mike Weaver. And we are just halfway through the first round.
A right hand. Good right hand by Mike Weaver.
Weaver backed Thomas up with that right hand. A lot of action early on here.
Well, Pinklon Thomas doing what he stated. He's not going to run. He's going to stand toe-to-toe. Believe it or not, the left jab of Thomas is quite, well, stronger than his right hand. Because he's a converted southpaw.
Came over with a right hand. That was a good shot. Backs Weaver up. And Thomas is right on Weaver. Weaver is down.
And Mike is hurt.
Mike Weaver is hurt without question. It took Thomas a little bit of time to get to a neutral corner. And now Padilla picks up the count. Weaver's still in trouble.
His legs are rubbery legs.
Weaver trying to come back. Let's see if Thomas doesn't go after him. He's got a great jab. And another big right hand.
Beautiful right hand.
Weaver's still in trouble against the ropes. He's got 12 seconds to get through. Another big right hand by Thomas. Thomas showing much more of the right hand than he has any other time we've seen him.
Well, we asked the question before whether Thomas would come out behind that thunderous left jab, and he sure did. He threw a lot of right hands.
All right.
Mike Weaver is disgusted with himself in the corner.
Come on, deep. You breathe deep, Matt. Come on. Let out slow.
All right, Mike?
All right, good. You're getting clearly.
Let's take a look at some of the action. There you see it, a wild Thomas right hand, but then a straight one. Those are arm punches, but they've landed on Weaver, and Weaver is flustered and goes down. I didn't think he was seriously hurt. I just thought he was flustered and lost his balance, although the punches landed flush.
I thought it would be a big mistake for Pinklon Thomas to stand toe-to-toe, but apparently it's working.
We said Weaver started slowly. It seemed that he was determined to start fast, but about 2/3 of the way through that round, it caught up with him.
So we come to the second round. Have to go some to be more up-tempo than at first.
The reason Mike is being hammered by Pinklon Thomas is because he's a stationary target. He's standing directly in front of Thomas.
Pinklon Thomas fighting a much more up-tempo fight than I've seen him fight before. Oh, two good body shots by Weaver hurt Thomas.
Mike has to stop moving his head. And see, the jab of Pinklon is not pity-pat. It's a lot of power behind it. It has capability of busting you up.
Two jabs by Weaver on the face of Pinklon Thomas. Weaver still has a lot of strength left. There's no question about that.
And you can also see that the eye of Pinklon Thomas is not bothering him at all.
Mike Weaver, a more dangerous fighter as things go along, but a stationary target for Pinklon Thomas. And a thumb, and Weaver yells at Carlos Padilla, thumb to the left eye. And they are using a glove that is supposed to prevent that tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Well, it has a webbing in it.
But the reason the webbing does not help because it's in the middle of the thumb and hand.
Weaver still being bothered by it, took an uppercut. And and still bothers him.
They need to bring that attachment right there at the tip of the thumb.
Right hand a little bit short by Mike Weaver. 1 minute remaining. There's a left hand by Thomas.
What could be the case now? Due to that thumb, Weaver's vision could be slightly blurred. That's what normally happens.
Okay,
There's been a lot of bombs thrown in the first 2 rounds here.
Without question. And they're putting all their body behind it.
I've seen more damaging punches in the first 2 rounds of this fight than in the entire Witherspoon-Smith fight. And still, Mike Weaver rubs that eye that he says he was thumbed in. Ten seconds remaining, second round. 12-round fight, this for the championship.
Bring it up. Be sure to close the glove.
Good round of boxing.
Well, they're going after each other, these two battleships.
I know he did. I know he did.
They're tending to the eyes of Mike Weaver in the corner.
Look, Mike.
But he seems all right now.
What you got to do, you got to stay in his body. Every time you get in, go. All right. Just get the cold.
We may have a picture of that thumb right here. Right there, you saw the punch. Yeah. Here it is again. The wonders of television. No question about it. And it was inadvertent, it seemed. It seemed that the hand landed flush on the brow, but the finger wandered into the eye.
That's it. Good one. Come on. Go to your left. Yeah, come on. Mouth with your punches, bitch. Go.
Mike Weaver already has a mountain to climb to get back into this fight.
Not the first time. Of course, against Big John Tate, he was out of it. He was a loser until the last few ticks.
You can never count Mike Weaver out. He possessed that power throughout the fight.
And he has had some pretty good body shots against Pinklon Thomas in this fight.
Well, that's what they want him to continue to do, to work that body. And slow down some of the movement of Pinklon Thomas.
There was a right hand, a little bit of a glancing blow.
Angelo Dundee was telling Pinklon Thomas to continue to move to his left, to concentrate on that area. That was one of the few left hooks thrown by Mike Weaver. And Mike is known for a devastating left hook. That's one of his best punches.
A lot of solid punches being thrown at close range here by both men.
It's been a very fast pace from opening round. And these guys can't keep this up the entire fight.
Left hook by Mike Weaver.
I tend to wonder whether or not this additional weight of Mike Weaver is starting to bother his power.
Weaver getting some good short punches in on Thomas. There was a right hand by Thomas that backed Weaver up.
Mike has a very good left jab, and he should continue to use it.
A couple of open-handed punches by Weaver there.
Now this is when Mike Weaver needs to go to work. To the body.
Both men scoring heavily. Good left hand, two good left hands by Weaver.
He rocked.
And Thomas is hurt.
He rocked Pinklon just then.
Weaver definitely had the better of that. Don't be misled by the fact that Weaver was pushed off him into the ropes.
Close the glove, close the glove.
Crowd really into this fight now, and the crowd seems supportive of Weaver.
Beautiful right hand.
Another good left hand by Weaver. Stopped Thomas in his tracks.
That buckled Pinklon Thomas.
And there's a cut over the left eye of Pinklon Thomas.
Mike is starting to go to work now.
Oh, let's watch that eye.
It looks like a very bad cut on Thomas's eye, but I can't be sure whether it's just a laceration or a deep cut. Angelo Dundee is working on it furiously.
Don't back up. Lay your head on his chest and drive them shots to the body. Lay your head on his chest and drive the shots to the body.
That's
and off the body, come up with short left hooks. Left hooks on the top and right hand through the middle. Short. Drive them shots. Lay your head on his chest, don't go back.
That's the voice of Don Manuel, who is the trainer of Mike Weaver, even though we're watching Thomas.
Come on, mouthpiece.
Don't let him run. They pushed him off by you.
Big round for Mike Weaver. This the fourth. The cut will be a factor. Two left jabs by Weaver. The cut is over the left eye. Right at the moment. And there's a big right hand by Weaver. Thomas is hurt again.
I just heard Mike Weaver's wife.
And another combination. There was some consternation between rounds. We'll try to find out exactly what happened. Ray Leonard is trying to find out just what happened. It was in the audience somewhere involving something with Mike Weaver's wife.
His wife, they say she collapsed.
We'll try to keep you posted. And blood starting to show above the left eye of Thomas. Listen to the crowd. Weaver, he has become the favorite here.
Pinklon Thomas being hit by those left hooks and right hand of Mike Weaver because he's moving back. And Angelo was telling Thomas not to back up because he makes himself susceptible to take those shots.
Thomas also breathing through his mouth like a tired fighter.
Look for some body shots by Mike Weaver now.
Weaver's been there, remember. A lot of experience. Weaver just looks right now like he's trying to pick one shot.
And it's a mistake that he's making because he's given Pinklon Thomas an opportunity to get back into this fight because he was hurt. Look at the left jab of Mike Weaver.
Very effective. The cut is not really any trouble right at the moment to Pinklon Thomas. Very little blood showing. Two good jabs again by Weaver. Very strong jabs. I mean, they've talked about Pinklon Thomas's jab, but Weaver's jab has been every bit as effective in this fight. Right on the mouth of Mike Weaver from Pinklon Thomas.
Mike Weaver a little off balance there, and he's trying to get that right hand through.
Look at it, two pretty good looking heavyweights here. And the jab of Weaver, very effective. That's not to take anything away from the one of Thomas. And again, the jab of Weaver in the face of Thomas.
This is a jabbing contest.
But I mean, they're strong jabs.
Mike looks prepared to throw a body shot the way he leans, because he digs it in.
At the bell, just to clear up what happened between rounds, we mentioned that Mike Weaver's wife passed out. What actually happened was that Mike Weaver's mother got in a fight.
Did she win?
No. Okay, come on, give me some deep breaths. Way up, way up. All right, and out again. Come on. Now listen, Mike, here's what you got to do now. You got to keep taking it to him. You jab, you hurt him, then you back off him. That gives him the initiative, you understand? Stay with this guy. Keep jabbing, but two jabs all the time. And he's got a body if you get in that body. When you get inside, sit your jab.
Nothing else, tie up the left hook being close, okay?
When you try to get in.
Come on, now you're for the bad fight, son. Come on now, pick it up.
When you try to get in close.
So good, a little more grease on this.
Keep talking.
Seconds out.
Come on. Step up, come on, go to work. Let's go to work.
They look like they're working pretty hard to me, right?
They're working
Angelo wants them to work harder.
This is the 5th round. It's been a great fight so far.
Angelo wants Thomas to tie up that left hook because that left hook of Mike Weaver has been landing. And it's nothing to play with.
Angelo telling Weaver he's fighting a bad fight. Or rather, Thomas, I beg your pardon.
And I tell you, it's not something that you want to hear.
And in Weaver's corner, they were telling him, you're the one that's backing off. Don't back off. Stay on top of it.
Look at the jabs now and what's happening. Good left hook by Pinklon Thomas. But Mike Weaver's jab has more authority on it now. Pinklon Thomas' jab is more consistent.
Good left hook. That hurt Pinklon Thomas.
You have to be impressed by anything without heavyweight division. Is their ability to take a punch.
There's a right hand by Thomas, but Weaver says, no, it didn't harm me none. Two more jabs.
Mike appears to be a much better fighter since that unfortunate win by disqualification to Tony Anthony back in November. He seems to be a new fighter, newborn fighter.
He has had a roller coaster career, to be sure.
And why Mike can't get that right hand in cleanly is because he raises up. He throws two jabs and he comes up.
Again, no further damage on that cut above the left eye of Pinklon Thomas.
You don't see heavyweights throw these kind of left jabs that often. Very, very, very seldom you see these type of punches thrown.
That was a pawing left hand that time by Thomas. Did not have the sting that he had earlier.
A right hand would work beautiful against Pinklon Thomas because what's that left hand? He keeps it down. It's just laying there.
It's all the way down by his thigh.
Reminds you of Thomas Hearns. But Hearns is faster, a lot faster. Mike looks so tired.
He does look tired. I was just going to say, right at the moment, Pinklon Thomas looks the fresh.
Body shot by Mike Weaver.
Good body shot. Takes the right hand. And Weaver right on top of Thomas again. Hammering Thomas. Tremendous pace in this fight.
Unbelievable.
Gotta start moving, baby. Give him a wrist, Pink.
Go inside and around, Pink.
Give him a wrist.
Lean inside, miss one punch, go inside and around. Don't go straight back.
You're making this guy come first, Pink. You can't do that, son. Son, you can't do that, okay?
Let's take a look at Mike Weaver as he goes to work here. I thought Thomas slipped all of those punches, actually. And that was just a pawing right hand. But there was a good punch inside.
Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? You gonna go to work with this guy? Mouthpiece. Let's go to work, please.
Mike Weaver's body punching Michel in this fight, conditioning Michel in this fight. It's a terrific heavyweight fight right now.
6th round scheduled for 12.
There's a cut on the inside of Pinklon Thomas' left lip. Lower lip, rather.
That was there almost from the opening bell, actually. Thomas seemed a little tired in the middle of the 5th round, but then finished with a rush. So he might have just been pacing himself.
Now Mike Weaver is retreating. It's not in his best interest. Mike's fight is to take the fight to his opponent. He's far more effective that way. Backing up, Thomas can use that jab.
Tempo is slowed a little bit here in the 6th round.
You know, there's been so much talk about how great the left jab of Pinklon Thomas is. And now I see Mike Weaver throwing a number of left jabs. So he possibly could be psyching out Pinklon Thomas to say, hey, my jab's just as good as yours.
And I'm not too sure, but at least on this night, it isn't. He's been very effective with it. 2 good runs that time by Thomas. 2 good runs coming back by Mike Weaver. And there's a couple more. They're just bothersome.
The left jab, it's a thing of beauty. And both of these guys are executing it so well. And it's very accurate.
Good left hook by Mike Weaver. Weaver continues to back up, but while he's doing so, he's throwing a very crisp jab.
I said earlier that Weaver had a mountain to climb, and I think he's climbed it, and I have him ahead by a point so far in this fight.
Kind of bend down and hit him with right hand to the kidney and try to set him up with your left hook. Give him a rinse. Give me a spit bucket. Spit bucket! Bring the spit bucket here. Okay, give him a rinse. Spit it here, Pink. Right over here, Pink. Pink, son. Right over here. Hit him with right over here. Jab him, hit him with right hand around the body.
We're listening to Don Manuel in the other corner as well as this corner with Pinklon Thomas.
Double jab on the guy. You shouldn't take a jab from this fella. Hit him with right hand. You're too good a fighter for this guy. Let's go to work. Vaseline. Sit your left hook. And hit it with left hook to the jaw. Okay, mouthpiece. 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 Left hook. Pow! Okay, let's go to work.
7th round, still a long road to hoe here. Incidentally, what we were hearing there was only Pinklon Thomas's corner. We were not hearing Mike Weaver's corner. A little hard to tell sometimes with the audio in the corner that gets jumbled.
The right hand of Thomas started to get through.
They've done a great job, incidentally, on the cut of Pinklon Thomas. It has been no bother to him since it happened. Good right hand.
Mike appeared to have buckled him by the right hand.
Yes, he did. Took a full step back. There's a right hand by Weaver. And now Thomas holds on.
No question about it, Barry. Both guys are starting to hurt each other. But I think what is happening, they're hitting each other with their best shot, and they stop it. They need to stop following up those shots. And I'm surprised that Mike Weaver is not still attacking the body of Pinklon Thomas. It's there, especially when he's close.
3-punch combination by Thomas backs Weaver up.
These guys have thrown a lot of punches for the past 6 rounds. So they both are really fatigued.
There's a good left hand right to the chin of Mike Weaver, thrown by Pinklon Thomas.
You can tell that Thomas is really tired because he throws that jab and he just drops it. I mean, actually lets it fall. But he still has a snap.
Yeah, they both do. I think they're both tired, but they both are still bombing. And I think probably there's a little bit of a hesitancy really to follow up because you always have to allow for the fact the man's going to be standing there and you got to have something left.
Goes up. Well, just then, Thomas threw an uppercut, right uppercut. That was a good punch because of what's happening. Mike Weaver was starting to fall in. A jab of Thomas is really bothering Weaver.
Jab by Weaver once more.
And vice versa.
Oh, a good left hand by Thomas, and it backs Weaver off once more, and another. Weaver seemed bothered by Thomas at the moment. Mike Weaver still backing up at the bell.
A big round for Thomas.
We want to remind you, more boxing coming your way. World Championship Boxing on HBO continues Saturday, August 10th, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific. We'll be on hand live for the Jose Luis Ramirez defending his lightweight title against the Macho Man, Hector Macho Camacho.
Okay. All right, get you some deep breath. Real deep, real deep. Come on, real deep. Feel a wrong zone.
You got to go to him.
Okay, you got to go to him, Mike, and you're doubling up jab. You see you missing to the head. The body, trying his body. If you have to do it the wrong way, but shoot more than one shot. 2 and 3 shots at a time, you understand? Back him up, you know what I'm saying? Back him up all the time. Okay, keep that left jab going.
Which fighter is in better condition? Which fighter is hungrier?
Well, here's the first step to that answer. Thomas comes out quickly here, up on his toes early in this round. Thomas, just to the eye, seems to be the fresher at the moment.
Weaver's corner wants more body shots. And I think that's very good, very good instructions.
You can see Weaver visibly take a deep breath and blow it out.
Oh, yes, I mean, he's really tired. But he can make Thomas even tired by throwing body shots and slowing him down. There was the uppercut thrown by Thomas again.
And he paid the price, took 2 body shots from Mike Weaver.
What I see in Pinklon Thomas, he's throwing a few light punches, light jabs, and just waiting for Weaver to open up to drop the bomb. This has been a very tactical fight on the part of both fighters.
It's the 8th round, coming down toward the halfway mark. What a right hand by Pinklon Thomas, and I mean one of the great one-punch knockdowns and probably knockouts. This one, I believe, is going to be over. Let's see. It's over. It's all over. And I mean just like that. If there was ever a question about the right hand of Pinklon Thomas, it was answered right there, Ray.
Well, you know, I was saying earlier that he was throwing light jabs and waiting to drop the bomb. And he did just that. I didn't think, well, we all figured that Thomas didn't have a good right hand. But he showed people that that right hand do exist.
I want to tell you, you don't see a lot of one-punch knockouts in the heavyweight division too much anymore. That was just about as picture-perfect as you can expect.
It was executed so perfect. He took his time, he set up Mike Weaver, and he just released that right hand.
Another one of the great fights, too. He had a tough opponent on his hands tonight. I think the last time we saw him fight Tim Witherspoon, Ray, we were impressed with Pinklon Thomas, particularly impressed with his jab. And I think after the fight, you and I were talking and said, this guy may be for real. And I think tonight really is going to make an awful lot of believers out of people.
Well, he wasn't just fighting a a little guy in there, Mike Weaver, was a tough opponent for him.
Let's take a look at it once more. I mean, this is postcard stuff here, right?
Well, you can see Thomas setting Mike Weaver up. Well, we didn't get a chance to see it happen so fast there.
Over the top with the right hand. Here's another look from another angle.
Let's see the jab, and he just throws that right hand. Picture perfect.
And he was out before he hit the canvas. Let's take one more look from yet another angle here. Watch the overhand right.
You see the right hand, the left jab of Mike Weaver just dropped, and the counter right hand by Pinklon Thomas went over top.
Looked like it hit him right between the eyes, actually. It looked like it hit him very high on the head. It's not the type, or not the location, really, that you would think you could knock a man out that quickly with.
Well, you saw that Mike was really hurt, too. He was out.
And Pinklon Thomas, a very happy man. He earned his pay tonight, I'll say that. And he fought a very tough customer. And right now, you really have to think that we may be looking at the brightest prospect in the heavyweight division. We'll talk more about that. Right now, let's go up to the ring announcer, Chuck Hull, and get the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute, 42 seconds of the 8th round. The winner by a knockout, and still the WBC heavyweight champion, Pinklon Pinky Thomas.
Well, the usual assortment. Let's take a look then at punch stat, and there's an awful lot of numbers up there. There's one number that isn't up there. That was the biggest punch of the fight, of course. But take a look. 48% effectiveness for Thomas, 46% effectiveness for Mike Weaver. It was a very, very close fight in every aspect of the fight, Ray.
Well, it was a lot of punches thrown by both fighters, devastating punches landed by both fighters. And I think what our viewers at home have seen tonight, witnessed tonight rather, are the cream of the crop in the heavyweight division.
What do you suppose went through the mind of Pinklon Thomas when he got cut up above the left eye?
Well, I tell you, he kept his cool. He maintained his cool, and he kept that jab up. I'm so impressed with this jab. Now I'm impressed with this right hand.
All right, let's go up to the ring now where Larry Merchant is with the winner and still champion Pinklon Thomas. Larry?
Pinklon, where have you been hiding that right hand?
Well, I'll tell you, I was told I'd never throw a right hand like that since I knocked out Leroy Caldwell in the 10th round. But first of all, I want to give Don King a lot of credit for putting on the immaculate show, bringing together a heavyweight championship with the #1 contender. Please hold it, lad. Let me finish. I also like to thank the World Boxing Council for representing such a great organization. I also want to thank my corner men who made it all possible to put me in the top flight shape and give me the publicity that I needed, and HBO for televising.
As long as you said that, we're all right. Pinklon, but tell us, where were you hiding the right hand? Was it because of the fact that you had damaged that hand and had it operated in the past that you hadn't thrown it as much as you did tonight?
Well, my left hand has been operated on 3 times. My right has only been operated on 1. I've always had a good right hand. It's just never been exposed. Fortunately, I was clocking Weaver. I seen him getting tired in the later rounds, and I knew I was going to eventually land it.
All right, it looked like he gave you some real trouble 3rd through the 5th and 6th rounds. Were you surprised at the strength of his jab against your jab?
No, I think Mike is, as I said, he was one of the best out there. He was the best. He's the #1 contender. But that's over now. That's history. I want Peanut Head Larry Holmes.
All right, but Pinklon, was that as good a right hand?
Where you at? Where you at?
Pinklon, did you see him noticeably tiring all of a sudden around the 8th round, around the 7th round, and looking for the right hand?
Excuse me, I ain't
Were you consciously looking to land that right hand at that time?
Well, I knew that he was carrying his left low, and when he jabbed, he dropped it. And I got him looking at my left jab when I double jabbed it, and I was really trying to close his eye or cut him. But unfortunately, that didn't come, so I seen him getting tired, and all I had to do was lean in with the right hand, and I would nail him.
Were you surprised that he came back from the earlier knockdown as well as he did?
No, I anticipate that. Seems like every time you get a guy in the first round, it never ends in the first. So I had to take my time and pace myself because he is a devastating puncher.
What about your eye? Were you concerned about it? Did it ever bother you?
No, I feel great. I have no problems. I feel magnificent.
Were you hurt?
No.
You were never hurt?
I was never hurt.
Because it looked like you were a little bit flustered there for a while.
Well, you know, if you don't get hit in the game and feel it a little bit, something's wrong with you. So, of course, you know, I felt his shots. He's a great puncher. But fortunate enough, my right hand came through for me, and I'm just feeling there. I want to give this guy a lot of credit. This guy has really did a number for me. And John Lee, who got me in shape for the last 8 months.
What are your plans now? What would you like to do in the best of all possible worlds?
I want to cut Larry Holmes off at the pathway. I want Larry Holmes to get in the ring and prove to the world that he's the reigning heavyweight champion that he say he is. If Mr. Don King, the entrepreneur of boxing, can put it together, another D-Day, bring in the Marines because it inspired me, and we can do it.
But you know that Larry Holmes, after he saw you tonight, he's 100 miles away already.
But he was cheering for Weaver. He was cheering Weaver on. I heard him. I just couldn't stop in the middle of the fight to say nothing to him. And I want him badder than a monkey want peanuts. I want him. I want him because I feel that he's robbing the people of their money. He got to come out and fight a real contender. I'm the real heavyweight champion of the world. I carry the title representing 104 different countries. The WBC heavyweight champion of the world. Ain't no reigning, ain't no WBA, ain't no IBF. We got to clean it up right now.
Do you think the decisiveness of this win will give you the credibility to be a champion that people will accept you now?
All due respect to Don King, HBO, those who can put the fight together, the IBF or whoever is involved. Let's do it. Let's put it together. Let's make it.
Thank you, Pinklon Thomas. You made it tonight. And now back to Barry and Ray.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry Merchant, and I think it's fair to say that the guy has got to be recognized as being quite a talent in the heavyweight division. As we mentioned earlier, we were impressed the last time. I can only speak for myself, Ray, but I was tremendously impressed with Pinklon Thomas, and I don't know how long Larry Holmes can logically duck him before there's a public outcry.
Well, no question about it. Tonight displayed the talent of our heavyweight division, just those 4 or 5 guys. And the fact that we're looking forward to some exciting fights now because all the other guys have been weeded out.
Well, we talked about the fact that this would clear up what has been a very muddled picture. Do you really feel it has? Have we come away from tonight with 2 logical candidates as being the survivor to the heavyweight title?
These 2, Tim Witherspoon and Pinklon Thomas, quite naturally are the successors to Larry Holmes' crown.
We should mention one other thing, too. There was a fight that was held earlier tonight between Trevor Berbick and David Bay, both of whom had fought Larry Holmes, and there was a surprise in that one. Trevor Berbick won the fight, but I don't think really he can be considered of the caliber of Witherspoon or most particularly of Thomas.
It wasn't a Trevor Berbick that we saw with Larry Holmes, against Larry Holmes, rather. He was lackadaisical, and the fact that maybe it's too much pressure, the anticipation of fighting for a major fight again.
Pinklon Thomas, of course, everybody had talked about what a great jab he has, and the big question mark about him, and we said this at the beginning of the fight, was can he punch? But I think he's really answered those questions.
Well, I think Angelo Dundee has done a great job as far as having Pinklon Thomas settle down and get more leverage and power behind our right hand. Normally he raises up and he takes away the punch, but now he possesses some power in that right hand.
All right, let's get back up to the ring then, and some final thoughts from Larry Merchant. Larry?
The heavyweight division seems to be running along on parallel roads. On one road, perhaps the high road, perhaps the low road, Larry Holmes, a longtime champion, is sort of exercising the divine right of kings, fighting who he feels like he can fight, fighting the least guy out there for the most amount of money as his reign starts to run out. On the other road have been a bunch of strong young men looking to assert themselves, and I think we saw that Pinklon Thomas asserted himself tonight. What we have to keep in mind is this. Larry Holmes is 28 years old when he won the title. When he was 25, 26, 27, nobody gave him a chance to be a champion, much less a dominant champion. Same thing for Rocky Marciano, whose record Holmes is pursuing. So I think that out of this top group of heavyweights, within a year, Pinklon Thomas, maybe Tim Witherspoon, Tony Tubbs, someone will emerge as a recognized champion. Back to Barry and Ray.
Okay, thank you, Larry, and we want to remind you to join us as HBO Sports presents our 11th year of Wimbledon. 2 weeks of extensive coverage of tennis's most prestigious event. Right through the women's semifinals. It all begins Monday, June 24th, right here on HBO. So, for Larry Merchant and Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm Barry Tompkins saying so long from Las Vegas, Nevada. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Tim Brain. Tonight's telecast was produced by Ross Greenberg and directed by Mark Payton. The associate producer is Rick Bernstein. The associate directors, Michael J. Whalen and Peter DePaula. And the assistant to the producer, David Harmon. The production manager is John McCallie.
I've made a resolution and a plan to keep my word. But I need you to make it work. You gotta read the message, understand what's on my mind. 'Cause not to sin would be a crime, and we could lose it anytime. We gotta show some respect. We gotta love to protect. Don't take it for granted. I know that if we want to stay close, we gotta show some respect. Well, I believe in working, but I believe in a little help. 'Cause I'm not alone, and to myself, we've got a thing of value. Why settle for second best? We don't know what's up ahead, and we can let ourselves forget. We gotta show some respect.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.